Hey guys, welcome back to Sony Means. Today we're going to be doing NFL Week 12 Power Rankings Part 2, and all that means is that we're going to be doing from 16 to 1. If you're looking, basically the top 16 teams. If you're looking for the bottom 16 teams, that would be in Part 1. You don't necessarily have to watch them in order. You can watch this one and then watch that one, and then watch this one. Just know that it's there. The link should be popping up top of your screen at some point during this intro. And yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it. Starting off with team number 16, we're going to have these teams having a pretty good season. You wouldn't say they're having great seasons, but yeah, they're doing pretty good. I mean, if you're talking about, like the 13th team, you say, hey, they're doing pretty good. Like if you're talking about the Dolphins, you could say, hey, they're doing pretty good. Not necessarily in that last game, though. They got beaten by the Broncos. Tua Tagovailoa got benched there towards the end. He is still predicted to be starting the next week, though, so don't go too crazy just yet. But the Dolphins, they get a rough loss, 2 losses in a row. They're slowly moving down. Wait, no. No, this is their first loss. This is the first loss. Sorry. They get a loss. For some reason, I thought they lost last week, but no, they had a 3-game winning streak. So I'm not going to overreact too much. They had a rough game. I'm sure they'll bounce back next week. But yeah, the Dolphins dropped down 1, still up here. I mean, you'll still say the Dolphins are doing pretty well. But yeah, in 15th, we have the Carolina Panthers. Really nice win there against the Lions. I only bumped them up 1 because last week, whenever I did my predictions, I thought that Teddy Bridgewater would be starting. But now that freaking P.J. Walker is in there. If I had known that P.J. Walker would have been starting last week, the Panthers would have been much lower, and then you would see like a 6 spot movement. So think of it more like that. But the Panthers, top 15. Their defense showed up a lot in this game. They played really, really well. They're probably not going to make the playoffs at 4-7, but definitely things are looking up for the future. Next week, not next week, but next year, as long as CMC stays healthy, as long as Teddy Bridgewater stays healthy, as long as that defense keeps on playing the well it's been playing, the Panthers are definitely going to be contenders next year. But right now, they're playing really well, but the way that their season's going, they're not going to make the playoffs. But that doesn't really matter for power rankings. I don't even know why I'm mentioning it. The Panthers playing pretty well. They're in 15th. That's how it works. In 14th, we have the Raiders. Rough loss against the Chiefs, but the fact that they went in there and played pretty well against the Chiefs is what, keeps them up here. They only dropped down 1. I actually didn't expect them to go in there and win. And they went in there and they were winning, and there was a back and forth game, and it went down to the very end. And it was actually, it was a very entertaining game, and the Raiders looked really, really good. But you still lost. They still lost. And that is why they dropped down 1 spot. Still up there. I mean, no team in this video is doing bad. Like, do not be ashamed if your team's at 13, 12, 11. Do not be ashamed. If you're a Dolphins fan, don't feel bad, okay? I had Dolphins fans getting mad at me because their team at 15. Do you know how many people are not getting mad that their team's like 20th? Like me, I'm a Washington fan. If a person had my team in the top 20, I would freak out. Okay, you're lucky. You are being spoiled if your team's up here. I just feel like people are gonna get mad if I had the Raiders dropping down 1. In 13th, we have the Indianapolis Colts. I think they had a bye week this week. Let me check. I'm gonna see. No, they had a bye week in week 7. What did they? Oh yeah, they had the nice win against Green Bay. They made Green Bay have to come back at the end, score a field goal to bring it into overtime. The Colts, their defense showed up. They dropped down 2, mainly because teams moving around them. I don't know why they dropped down 2. I don't go in there and say, oh, I think the Colts could drop down 2. I just say, hey, I think they should be 13th. The Colts, they impressed me definitely, but I think a lot of it had to do with the teams around them. Just kind of forced them to drop down 2. Again, not really the Colts' fault. The Colts impressed me. The spot dropped down 2, but that doesn't really mean anything. They're still 7-3, and they're still looking pretty well. Next up, we have the Baltimore Ravens, who dropped down 2. Rough loss. It seems like they're just losing game after game after game. At this point, their offense has just not been looking really good at all. They started off 5-1, and then they've gone 1-3 since. An overtime loss to the Titans. Derrick Henry, that last run kind of killed them. The Ravens dropped down 2. Their offense is looking very, very bad. Their defense is what's carrying them, and their defense is still pretty good. That's why they're at 12. But really, the Ravens looking less and less like contenders. They're 6-4. Next week, they play Pittsburgh. They've got a pretty easy schedule after that. They should go 9-7, 10-6. I'm looking at the schedule right now. They play Pittsburgh, and then they have Dallas, Jacksonville, New York, Cincinnati. So that's 4 wins right there. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a 10-6 Baltimore team. They've got Cleveland, but that is still a pretty good game. Yeah, in 11th, just outside the top 10, we have the Buccaneers. They dropped down by 7 just because in 2 out of their last 3 games they've played pretty badly. They went out there and well, not badly, but yeah, they got dominated by the Rams. It was only a 3-point game, but the points don't do it justice. It was a domination by the Rams. That defense played really well. Their offense played insane. We'll get to the Rams eventually. We're going to talk about the Buccaneers right now. Yeah, they did not play well at all. Tom Brady, I think I had a 60 quarterback rating or something like that. The Buccaneers dropping down by 7. Not looking too good. They're 1-2 in the last 3 games. And yeah, the Buccaneers played one half of good football in their past 6. Just saying. Entering the top 10, we have the Arizona Cardinals went in there and they lost to the Seahawks. They kept it close, but they could not pull off their Week 7 magic again. It was a pretty good game. That's why they don't drop down too much. But yeah, did not look very good. They're 6-4. They're still in the thick of things. They still have a pretty good offense. Obviously, I think they're a top 10 team in the league. I'm gonna think that they're still playing pretty well. But yeah, they dropped down 1. If they keep on playing badly, they're 6-5, 6-6. They're gonna start plummeting. But right now, just 1 loss, not gonna be too bad, especially when they played pretty well against one of the better teams in the league. And then at 9th, you have the Browns. I've been talking about in weeks prior to this how their defense has been carrying them, and that was kind of true in this game, but also their offense went out there and played pretty well. Their offense definitely stepped it up from the past couple of weeks. They looked like a much better team. They jump up by 5. They're 7-3. They are, I think, the 6th seed in the AFC, 2nd in the AFC North. The Browns looking pretty good right now. And yeah, they're in top 10. They're 9th. They're bumping all the way up from 14th. Last week, the Browns are up here, moving up. It's insane how much better they're playing this year than they were last year. Huge difference. All right, entering the best of the best, the top 8 teams. This is the teams that, they're doing pretty great. Yeah, again, you could say that about the Browns too, but I don't know. So in 8th, we have the Seahawks, who get the win. And yeah, they just haven't been playing too well in weeks prior, and I needed them to go out here. I needed them to show me something great. And their defense, in my opinion, definitely stepped it up. But their offense, I'm sorry, I just don't think they're playing very well right now. They're still top 8, but I'm just not seeing enough to put them above the 7 teams. They definitely went out there. They played pretty well. They got a win, kind of what we expected. We expected a pretty close game. They would have to blow me out of the water to move up at this point. I just don't think they're good enough to pass the Saints right now. Taysom Hill went in there. I didn't think that they would play too well without Drew Brees. They played better without Drew Brees. I don't necessarily think that's true, but still, Taysom Hill went in there and played great. You could see how well they played now that they have a quarterback that can rush. Now, he's definitely not as good at passing as Drew Brees, which I think, Drew Brees should still be in there. But you're starting to see Taysom Hill made his first start, and he's 30 years old. I have something to say that said that. But yeah, I think you're starting to see why I don't have the Seahawks up here. It has nothing to do with them. The Seahawks are still playing pretty well. Obviously, they got to win against a pretty good team. But it's the fact that they have teams like the Saints in the top 7 that I don't think I can include the Seahawks up there anymore. I think people are overrating them right now. And yeah, you fight me on that all you want in the comments. That's what they're for. Just outside of the top 5, we have the Rams, who bump up 1. Nice, pretty good win against the Buccaneers. They completely dominated. They play really well. It's kind of like the Seahawks. They don't move up a lot because of the teams above them. Once you get, when you're on the very bottom and when you're in the very top, it's weird to, focus on the team, like how much they moved. The Rams, I have them in, at 6th place, but people are going to be mad they didn't move up more than 1. And like the Seahawks, I have them in 8th place, but people are going to be mad that they won and still dropped down 3. I'm sorry, okay? I don't think the Seahawks are a top 5 team anymore. Entering the top 5, we have the Titans, who bump up 3. A really nice win against the Ravens. Derrick Henry had a nice showing, and the Titans just look good all around. They bump up by 3. They enter the top 5, and yeah, things are going pretty great. And in 4th, just outside the top 3, we have the Packers, who bump up 2. They'd had a couple off games beforehand, and then they come in here, and yeah, they lose, but they still play pretty well against a really tough defense in the Colts. They bring them into overtime, the Packers, and yeah, I think it was a nice game. They lost, but they still played pretty well. I was kind of doubting them beforehand, but now they're looking like a pretty good team again. They're 7-3. Things are looking pretty up for them. They're just outside the top 4. Sorry, they're just outside the top 3. They don't get a bronze medal, but still they're up there. They jump up by 2, and yeah. With the bronze medal, we have the Bills, who don't move at all. I had them there last week. I'm gonna have them here again this week. Did they have a bye week? I always think teams have a bye week. And you just start like writing down which teams had a bye. No teams had a bye week this week. They did. They had a bye week. Yeah, they had a bye week this week. No teams have a bye week starting next week, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And the top two will stay the same, I think, the past couple of weeks. In second, we have the Chiefs. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I thought I clicked and switched it. I wasn't trying to like bring out suspense. The Chiefs, their defense is not showing enough for me to put them in first. I think their defense is still pretty underrated, but I definitely don't think it's very. You'll see when I open up who's in first. But allowing a team like the Raiders, who admittedly are pretty good, but to keep it close with a team like the Chiefs definitely still up there with the best of the best. But I definitely don't think they're good enough to get past the Steelers, who have one of the best offenses and one of the best defenses. People always view me like, oh, they haven't played anybody very good, but they're dominating in every game. And the Steelers are definitely the number one team in the league. They're 10-0, and they are looking up. Let me look at their schedule. I'm interested to see how easy the schedule is. So right now, obviously so they play Washington, Cincinnati, and that's it. They have Baltimore next week. They have Buffalo. They play Indianapolis Colts. And then they have Cleveland Browns. So I doubt the Steelers are going to be undefeated. But right now, they definitely have the hardest part of the schedule upcoming. And we'll see if they can go in here. And, I mean, really, I think right now they're definitely going to be 12-4. Probably, 14-2, 15-1. And the Steelers, they're ready to roll. They're 10-0. People are underrating them. I think they're ready to go out there next week in Thanksgiving and play pretty well. Thank you guys for watching me stumble through my words in this video. Please go watch part 1 if you haven't yet, or watch it now. Or if you're coming from part 1, hey, howdy. Welcome to part 2. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to this channel. We post videos every single day of every single week. We have power rankings to watch right now. We have weekly recaps, Monday night recaps, Thursday night recaps. It's going to be a full-on Thanksgiving recap. We have score predictions, not just who's going to win, but what the score will be. Yeah, I'm looking at all of these games that the Steelers have played. They're like dominating in most of them. Just thought I should point that out. Like 38-20. I mean, it is pretty good. But the Steelers, sorry. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope to see you in my next video, or my last video if you're going to watch part 1, which I know you are.